Welcome to Sweeping the Country. I don't know, a day, 2 days after the big game. Here with me, my co-host, Mr. Jimmy Carter. Hello, Jimmy.
Oh, hello, and I guess I watched it. I watched a lot of it. There was a show that even started 5 hours before the game about the beginning of the pregame show, that the history of the pregame show, that there wasn't a pregame show in the early days of the Super Bowl or even NFL, and then there was one, and about Brent Musburger, and
I saw that.
It was a great hour. It was a really great hour.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that because there was one thing that kind of bugged me, but I was still interested in the story, and that was Jimmy the Greek. When Brent Musburger got into the story about Jimmy the Greek, I had no idea. I just know he disappeared from television.
Oh yeah, I mean, hit him. The whole history of all this stuff, all broadcasting is crazy. With crazy people in it. But when you look at the big picture from the Goodyear blimp, so to speak, there were some great people that took a lot of chances, and one of the big shots there, that took a chance on Jimmy the Greek and took a chance on a lot of people, including Musburger.
Yeah.
It's if you can look it up, it's probably on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Documentary on Paramount Plus, and You're Looking Live, I think, was the name of it.
I bet you can even find it on
Brent
YouTube.
Musburger used to say, "You're Looking Live."
Yeah.
And so Paramount Plus. I watched the game. I watched half of it on YouTube TV.
Okay.
And the picture was pretty good. I watched it on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I got a nice size, and I'm sitting here with it, so it was good.
Yeah.
And then I watched the back half on Paramount Plus,
and
that picture was great too, and the sound was perfect. And,
okay, I went old school. I got to tell you what I did. So I got rid of YouTube TV. I got rid of my subscription. I have Amazon. I have all that, Netflix, all that. To Apple, I have all of it. But I got rid of my YouTube TV. I still have YouTube, but not YouTube TV. I went with an antenna, and I put one of those as seen on TV antenna, digital antenna.
Yeah.
Best picture of my life. It was so good. It was all digital. It was 100% free. It was in, stereo. It was all that. It was everything it was cracked up to be, except for one thing that I really missed that I didn't know I would miss until I started watching on an antenna, and that is I could not rewind or freeze the TV.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
It was awful.
I had it up. I had it perfectly set. I mean, with YouTube TV, it was going on a timeline.
Yeah.
And and I've got this way overpriced monitor from Apple that's God knows 8K or whatever the K
Beautiful
is.
Beautiful picture. Yeah.
Beautiful, unbelievable. And so when you did that, and then with my phone, which is good too, the Apple 15, I was able to shoot the screen. And I was able to post Reba singing the national anthem,
which, by the
30
way,
seconds literally, on Facebook after she did it.
She did a fabulous job. I mean, I even Post Malone with his song. I like that too.
See, this is where I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
No, I didn't give it a fair chance for Post Malone.
Okay.
Because in fact I looked away to see if I could hear it, and I thought it was probably okay.
Yeah.
Because he was singing higher than I knew him to do.
Yeah.
But I can't get past looking at his teeth and looking at him. I can't get past that.
I don't know
I'm not that woke, that I can just get past that. It's just freaky. It's like watching a prison movie or something. It's
that's
terrible.
True. I can't argue with that, but I thought he did a pretty clean job.
No, I mean, he may have it, but I saw him in this other commercial, and it just looks like it's a horror film when someone opens their mouth and it's got those grills like that.
Poor guy.
I don't care. I mean, I was just raised different, it just wasn't me. There's nothing else that really bothers me, but that kind of stuff just icky.
Yeah.
And then I'm not a big, then Usher.
Oh, here we go. I knew
this is the bad part about being around for more than 10 minutes. All that was a bad version of Michael Jackson with worse music.
Oh, that is harsh, but true. It
was just Michael Jackson's show.
Even the
if
gloves.
Michael had been there, even the gloves and the dancing and all the spectacular, Michael would have done it even better.
Yeah, true.
In fact, because that was almost ridiculous. I mean, it was almost like, let's just do every stereotypical thing you can do about Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't have people walking around like with pinball machines on their head or something.
Yeah, they did.
You know,
they had
or
the
human
feather
dice,
boas. They had all
human
that.
dice that just rolled around the floor or something. I mean, and plus the music, it wasn't a good mix or something. I don't know. It just didn't. I mean, Michael Jackson's music was stronger.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Than
Sure.
Usher's music.
Sure, yeah.
And obviously the sales and everything else about that will hold that opinion up. But I just wasn't a fan of that.
You know, my daughter was over, and she's of the younger generation, like late 20s, and we were sitting there, and he started doing his thing, and we were watching it, and I looked at the whole thing, and I just thought to myself, I don't even know one of these songs he sings. I'm sure he's worldwide or whatever, and then they played one at the very end that I recognized that. Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just I'm tired of these halftime shows. You know, I mean, even Coldplay was not a good halftime show. That was just, I mean, I liked one song, you know, that they did. But maybe we're just at a time when there aren't anybody. There's nobody left.
True. That is true.
You know, there's nobody left that's Billy Joel. There's nobody left that has hits that everybody knows.
It seems to me.
Maybe that's just it.
You may be 100% right on that. It seems to me, though, that used to be when you would watch the halftime show, that the audio was better. I feel like now the audio is just so bad. And
audio is bad at award shows, and they really have to fight that because, without getting into too technical, they're miking and mixing all these sources.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're also got some other things going on cheat wise. Sometimes they're singing with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, if something screws up, it still keeps going.
Gotcha.
You know, and then their mic there, like his mic was too hot for a minute because he went, it was way over blasting everything else.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for that. But they're mixing for the 8K, 4K people with surround sound.
Right.
They're mixing.
That's what I'm saying.
For stereo and mono and every other thing.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets all through these pipelines, and then out fiber to some master control somewhere, God knows where, across the country, and then it's sent up on satellite or fiber to everybody, however they're getting it these days. It has to be digital. It's been through a lot by the time it gets to you. And that's why it doesn't really always sound that great.
Yeah,
it's gone through a lot.
In the industry, we say stepped on, right? So, I mean, it gets stepped on 15,000 times before we hear
a lot of different times. So by the time it gets 0 and 1 and 0 and 1 and mushed around and bruised and everything else, it is that. But I just think we've gotten to a time where there must just not be people, you know, that are strong enough. You know, everybody's old and dead, I guess, in the 60s, and they've used them already or tried to done it. And nobody in country is really strong enough to do it. And Taylor doesn't want to do it.
Now, I heard a rumor, I don't know if this is true or not, and maybe you know, but I heard that they had approached her to do the Super Bowl halftime show at some point.
Multiple times.
And she wants to get paid to do it, and they don't pay people to do it. Is that right?
Well, that's another thing. Another thing.
Yeah.
You know, the business aspect of it. But she doesn't want to do it, doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Same way with, there's who else is one of the big ones that's never done it. McCartney has done it.
Oh, he has, yeah. Did Garth ever do it? I know he did the national anthem.
No, Garth. See, he walked out on them on that anthem thing.
I remember
and
that.
barely came back in time, so they're never going to forgive him. He's on their crap list forever. There just aren't that many people left that are common denominator people, you know, that can pull it off.
I would agree. You're right. And, I mean, it's tough to pick someone like that.
It's you know, I mean, I think they ought to can the whole damn thing and just go back to marching bands, you know. I agree with him. The dog even liked that.
The dog did like that. I heard the marching band with Usher Sunday night, and just a little bit, and I thought, wow, that's the best part of that. But you're right. I mean, maybe now halftime should be the commercials. Maybe we should see the best commercial, or maybe there should be a voting, or maybe something like that, just something different. Now I know
it was what I've always questioned. You know, we did a thing last time on gambling.
Yeah,
Explain to me how they know these things. The over and under was 47.5.
And what was the score? 45?
Okay, and the score was 47. And so
Golly.
and so if you bet on under, you got it.
Mm-hmm.
You bet on,
They're
over,
so
you
good
didn't,
at that.
because the half is in there. That no one is that good. They even, because remember, you even had a missed point after, which you never have.
Yeah.
How do you get that numerical combination?
Not only did you have a point missed after, that kicker just set the 49er kicker, can't remember his name. It starts with an M. He makes whatever it was. He makes the kick, sets a record at the Super Bowl, then misses the extra point, and then the other kicker beats the kicker for the Chiefs beats the 49ers record by another yard, and it just was unbelievable.
It's just weird to me when that happens like that.
Yeah.
Is it
happens a lot. It happens.
That just makes me scratch my head on stuff like that.
All right, now I brought it up, and we don't have to talk about it anymore. But commercials, there were two that I thought were really funny. One was the Reese's coming out with a new.
Well, let me go bigger for a second.
Okay, go.
Because I heard a complaint from our pal Ted.
Okay, what?
He said too many celebrities.
I would agree with that.
I think it overdosed itself with celebrities this time.
I would agree. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. No, he's right. I think he's right. I mean, the Dunkin' Donut ads were all celebrities.
That was people's favorite.
I liked it too. I did like it. I thought it was good. Jennifer Aniston was in there with Ross from Friends. I mean, you had Danny DeVito.
Oh, yeah, that was the one. Jelly Roll was in there. I mean,
yeah.
Dan Marino, there was everybody. I mean,
yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was the favorite.
Oh, with Danny DeVito for State Farm, is it?
That was the favorite. That was voted favorite.
Yeah, I mean that was a great spot. And then there was one spot that I really liked. It was pretty undersung with all the teams that had like the Eagles and the Ravens, and they were players that flew, and they dropped a football into the guy's hand, and it was the I guess the newbies in the NFL, the rookies. If you haven't seen it, it was really good. They were all.
I quit the game in the third quarter and came back.
That's
because it was boring.
That is why my Niners
lost. It was boring. Third quarter was boring, and so I came back in the fourth quarter and things got more interesting.
Oh, it got interesting.
But a low-scoring game, and it was. It kept your attention, but by the third quarter, after that awful halftime show, I pretty much had it. So
well, all I know is
the
halftime show gave us enough time to eat dinner. It was that long. I think it was 30 minutes or something like that. Yeah, so we ate our dinner and got back to it. But hey, I'm glad it's over. It's another one in the books, and
it's and this Kansas City ain't going anywhere.
Boy, that's the truth, isn't it?
These people. They're going to be back next year unless something really screwy happens, because Mahomes is still Mahomes.
Yeah, you're right about
Kelsey's
that.
Still Kelsey, and all the people are the same.
Yeah, and they're covered by their salary cap. They seem to be affording it with all these great players.
So they're pulling it off. However,
yeah,
and
no doubt.
So you're going to see them again. 49ers. I don't
know.
I don't know who you're going to see next time. I really don't.
I don't either. And I think the 49ers have a little bit of a problem because Brock Purdy, who's their quarterback, is not $1 million paid. He's making $800,000 a year right now, and they're going to have to pay him more if they want to keep him. So they got some problems there. We'll see what happens with that.
He needs a big raise, doesn't he? I mean,
yeah,
he's
does.
good.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I don't know. The Super Bowl is such the NFL in general is such an enormous beast.
Yeah.
Could you see the Africa commercial?
Oh yeah,
where they've got stuff going on in Africa.
Yeah, it's unreal. And then
what are they trying? What are they up to with that?
I don't know.
They're just trying to spread it around the world.
Yeah,
like soccer is.
I guess so. And I would say, and I don't know if it's inadvertent or it's intentional or not, but I would also say somebody like Taylor, as much as people say, oh, I don't care if she watches the game or she's there or not, there's a whole group of people that she does influence that will watch more football because she's going to these games. And
there was one thing that said 20% or something. The increase.
It's unreal.
20%. And it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real. Like my daughter would normally not watch. Daughter number 3.
Yeah.
And she was watching, tell me everything that was going on.
That's what's happening. So, and it's just
because they want to see Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it.
That can't continue either. But it tells them something that they need to have something that's more relevant to this generation, which is, I don't know if you're going to put last week. Kendall Jenner came to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and showed up to push. I think she's got some liquor brand that she's behind. Us. She's a millionaire many times over, has her own jet and everything else. But people went crazy. It was like the Beatles coming down there. All these girls, it was women again.
Interesting.
Rammed the bar in the daytime while she was playing bartender. So it tells you that if you're going to try to get that audience, you better be doing something that's relevant to that audience.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which seems to be, I mean, some of the commercials definitely seem to be going for them, the new kind of hop stuff. I don't even know what this stuff is. The two different soft drinks that were used.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I saw that one.
Starry was one of them.
Starry. Temu, the online ordering system that was all cartoon.
What are those things? I don't know what that is.
But you're right.
Is this something everybody knows about?
Yeah, it is. It's another generation of the way they do business. I mean, they're shopping online more than ever, and it's supposed to be a discounted outlet and all that. But, yeah, they're definitely the target has changed a little bit. As to who spends the money or who convinces other people to spend their money, whatever it is. But, yeah, to reach this next generation, the rules have changed a little bit.
You might have to do stuff that you don't like.
Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
And that's where the research, that's where the things need to go. I mean, it's just interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, football is such a violent sport. And, and the injuries that come from it, head injuries and the bodies are all messed up. These players, they get out of it. But
I've noticed
that commercial for soccer that came on during the Super Bowl with the guy Messi who went to Miami recently. Soccer.
When have you ever seen a soccer guy in a commercial?
As a star of a commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I've noticed too with the NFL, there's been a lot of push lately for flag football. It's almost like they want to keep you involved in football, but not so much tackle.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to change it up. They're going to have to do something where they can reduce the head injuries. That's the big thing.
Yeah,
and you can still go out for a pass and everything, still wear pads and all that, but I think you're just going to do something that's going to not have the violent impacts. That they've been having, because that's just not acceptable, and I think that's why they're working on all kinds of different ways. But going for Brazil, that's interesting.
Yes,
pushing the fact that it's around the world, which really football is not interested in anybody around the world.
Yeah, they even showed some pictures last night. I thought it was interesting in different countries where people were watching, like in a bar or a restaurant.
Yeah, I noticed they were watching the NFL. They weren't watching that game.
Yeah, right.
I looked at I watched one of the football fields that they were looking at, and it was not the end zone of that football game.
That's fascinating. So. It's fascinating. But, yeah, I mean, they're in a different country, it seems like, every year. Oh, we got a football game in England. We got one over here. We got one here.
Yeah, they're trying. It's like country music. I mean, football's like country music. It's trying to, and has for years, tried to expand.
Yeah.
Now, pop music, and
no problem. Yeah.
Australia's getting to be, a pretty regular place. That's where Taylor Swift's going this week. This week, 18, 19, I think. She's playing Melbourne and playing the cricket fields or something down there.
Yeah.
So that's where she's headed, unless she's headed there right now, maybe. But country, Lainey Wilson, who's an up-and-coming country star who won all the awards at the CMA this year, she's headed down there in a month or so.
I'll be done.
It's getting to be a regular spot. For country people.
Well, good for country music. I mean, I like that.
Sounds like NFL, is pushing to try to get a beachhead down there too. At least, but because they're very much into their cricket.
Yeah.
And I know they're into the cricket and probably soccer as well.
I mean, it's worldwide now. Everything's so easily accessible. It used to be if you wanted to see a show, maybe, I don't know who, maybe the Beatles worldwide, of course, but you want to see the Rolling Stones or something, they're not going to be, and they may now, but, they may not be in England. They may not be in Europe. You'd have to come here to see something like that.
You do. I mean, but they have their whole career. They've been around the world. They played Cuba.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
They played everything, and the Beatles did too.
Mm-hmm.
And Elvis would have, but, that's a whole story of the manager. Because he was definitely big enough to do it.
Yeah.
Taylor just did these unbelievably successful shows in Tokyo.
Yeah, boy.
And then after she gets through with Australia, she's doing 3 or 4 nights in a row in Singapore.
Can you imagine, Jimmy, being that? I mean, you're a very popular fella, right? You go around your towns.
It's amazing.
People know you. They know who you are. You're in Nashville. They know you. Everybody knows you. But can you imagine on the scale, that they're on that? I don't know if I could handle that. I mean, that's a different. She can't really go anywhere.
No, it's scary.
Yeah.
I think it's frightening.
Yeah.
Now, Paul McCartney was at the Super Bowl in Taylor Swift's suite.
Was he? I didn't even see one picture.
With his
of
wife,
him.
Mr. and Mrs. McCartney, were up in there that suite. It's just the amount of money that's thrown around at this stuff. You're saying, whoa, whoa.
I looked up.
It's millions and millions of dollars, and it's just odd. Now, these movies that are coming, I hope this brings Hollywood back to some degree.
All right.
But I'm afraid that everybody is so out of the habit of going to movies that I just don't know how this is going to continue. I mean, that's an in-theater moment. The Twister movie needs to be seen, I'm sure, in the theater.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
The King Kong movie looks like it needs to be seen in the theaters. A couple of those movies definitely needed to be seen.
Deadpool 3, maybe not. You could just watch that at home, I think.
So, but I don't know if the theaters can survive.
When is the last time
having 3 or 4 or 5 event movies a year, and that's it?
When's the last time you went to a theater? I mean, go see a movie. It's been.
It's been months.
5 years.
Is all I can say.
Wow.
I went for Maverick, Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, so that was last year. I mean, that was toward the end of the year, right?
I saw Oppenheimer.
In the theater?
The opening weekend of Oppenheimer, yeah.
Yeah. I have not seen that movie yet.
That's a slow movie to watch at home. Good luck. It's going to be out there. I think somebody on the 16th is streaming it, maybe Paramount+.
I will say this, though, for the theater. I will say this, and I don't think people think about it until they go to the theater. And I don't even know if you do when you go to the theater. When you're in the theater, you're just thinking about the movie.
No, absolutely.
When you're at home,
as long as there's not anybody that's jackasses in there.
Yeah, that's true.
That are chewing or eating,
making out. Or
I can still remember going to the movie. I was having to kill time in New York City.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I was killing time for, but I had nothing to do during the middle of the day.
Yeah.
So I went to Times Square, which wasn't that far away, and the movie theaters were doing 10:30 a.m. shows, something like that, 11 a.m. So I went to the movie, some movie that I wanted to see. So I was in there, and the movie's going along, and this, I think it was a woman, pretty sure it was, came into the theater with her bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That sounds good.
A bucket of it. And she brought it and sat at her seat, which was about 5 rows in front of me. And I could smell it. I mean, it was just too much. And she was making, noises. And so I moved to the way back of the theater. I could still smell the chicken. And then I heard her rattling the bones of the chicken.
Oh, geez.
in the carton. It was just making me crazy. I don't know if I made it through it or not, but when that stuff happens, then it blows the whole thing for you.
Yeah, I went to a movie. I can't even remember the movie now, but I was sitting there, and the people behind me were drinking in the theater. They had little flasks, and about a half hour into the movie, here comes the vomiting. And I just got up and walked out. But that can wreck a movie. You're right. But at home, you have 50.
But no, there's nothing better than a perfect experience for a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember going to the DreamWorks screening room.
Ooh, boy.
Near Burbank, in Glendale, I think. And I remember sitting there. We were in these where the people like Spielberg and others would sit to watch their movie, and others it's really plush, like luxury, like the best living room you've ever been into.
Jimmy.
Up there, with.
Now, wait, for people that don't know, I mean, you were a movie critic for a time. I mean, there was a time. So
decades.
You
20
saw
years.
You saw first editions. You saw premieres.
I went to London for premieres. Yeah, and I went to,
I mean, that's
London for premieres and saw, covered everything, and
awesome.
With all these screening rooms at Fox and Warner, and all those things. But we were at the DreamWorks screening room for Saving Private Ryan. And
what a great movie.
The first 30 minutes of that movie is so intense. And the sound was perfect. And the video everything was perfect. I mean, you were there with those fighter pilots looking down, the German fighter pilots and others. And I remember it was so intense. I remember I grabbed the guy, Dino, I think, Dino, hand that was next to me, just, and it just out of just sheer and just automatic reaction.
For those,
there's nothing for a movie that can make you do that, and what about Alien? When that thing popped out of that guy's chest on the operating table,
yeah.
I was at whatever movie theater I was in watching it, and I screamed there for a second. I went, "Whoa, Nelly!" I mean, did something like that. I mean, because it made me react. If it's working for you, it's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to back up. I want to back up for a second because you're describing this plush place to go see a theater. For people that don't know, talk us through a screening room. What is it? How many people does it hold? And what is the gist of it? Is it they want you to?
Some are bigger than others, but I'd say there's some cheaper seats in it. Mm-hmm. It's a small theater, smaller than you'd ever go to, at a mall or anything.
Yeah.
Very nice seats, often with telephones at the seat, mm-hmm. in the board next to you. Plenty of leg room, and then the guy, the guy running the print, is not far away from you. Now I don't know what they're doing now with digital. Yeah, I guess somebody's going to run the digital print or whatever. Yeah. However, they're looking at the master stuff on, but yeah, you're just really nice, and you can stop it. They can stop it. They can go back.
Oh, really?
They can do all kinds of stuff depending on the screening room.
Is there
if you don't like something, or let's watch that last 2 minutes again or something.
So there's discussion and things like that.
There can be. There's all kinds of it depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And if you're there with the director just looking at dailies, mm-hmm. You might be there. Now, this was not at the studio, so I don't know. I mean, I remember at Pixar, watched Finding Nemo in their theater that was introduced by the Apple inventor.
Oh, yeah. Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
He gave the introduction.
I'll be darned. Oh my gosh!
And I remember the walls and the ceiling were, little lights, and just the whole thing was just one of the most beautiful, quiet, perfect theaters.
Wow!
You've ever been to with Steve Jobs giving the intro.
Yeah. Wow! How great is that?
That was pretty cool. He was giving kind of a lot of the Apple philosophy and Pixar philosophy.
I love it
and all that. So it was a cool way to go. But there's magical. Movies are magical if you let them. But at home, you're just missing a lot. I mean, I watched part of a movie today. Don't even remember the name of it. It's on Paramount Plus. So I know they shot it in Atlanta, and it's something to do with some corrupt cops. And I got to go back and finish it. But you're not supposed to watch a movie that way, where you watch it 30, 45 minutes, and then I got every other thing here in my peripheral vision, that I'm seeing. It ruins it. It just screws it up.
Yeah, you have the dog barking.
But that's the world we live in. It's the world we live in. We're just completely distracted by our phones and by by everything else. And that's why it's such an interesting event, the Super Bowl, because it is the only time of the year. It's the biggest audience of the year because it's the only thing we can all agree on is some football game that we want to watch.
Isn't that something? Only thing. Somebody at work today was talking about they were on a walk and they were walking through their neighborhood during halftime, but it kind of rolled over to the third quarter and they were still out on their walk. And they were saying that every TV they could see through every window was on the Super Bowl. Just 100%. Didn't matter who it was, if they were a fan, they weren't a fan, but that was on in their house for that minute. And it blew my mind to really think about that. I mean, you think about it, you're right. It is one thing that everybody, pretty much, whether you like the teams or you like the sport or whatever, it's an event. They've turned it into the event. I mean, it is the event that everyone watches. Yeah, it's fascinating.
And people say they want a holiday on the Monday after. No, we don't need that. What we need is to move President's Day
to Super Bowl Sunday,
next Monday. Make it bond in with Super Bowl Sunday.
I think
work with the NFL, work with the federal government, whoever it is. Do these things in advance. With President's Day can float how long in advance you have to make schedules, and make the NFL do it there. Jimmy, make it earlier. Or make them all come together.
My whole life, no one's ever suggested it, and it's brilliant. That is brilliant. Change the schedule just a little tiny bit, and you got it all figured out.
Change the schedule and make it. You want to do it after the last game? Okay. Well, then the federal government moves President's Day to that weekend. You're covering Lincoln and Washington. You moved it anyway.
Yeah, so it's all the presidents. Yeah, I love it.
So you can celebrate the presidents, and on the day that's the people get the Super Bowl flu.
So maybe we can start something. Write your congressman today. Just write them a quick note.
Those jackasses up there, they can't. That's one of the things
not going to help
they
our
ought
cause.
to be dealing with. No, I mean, but they ought to be doing some stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
And I know that they're dealing with some things that we don't hear about.
Yeah.
That they do agree on. That they don't. That doesn't get publicity. But they need new press agents because they make it look like there ain't nothing going on.
No doubt. No doubt. How long they been working on daylight saving time?
See, that's another one, that someone really needs to deal with, between that and it's just, I don't know.
And Super Bowl Sunday, figure it out. We're paying big bucks to those guys and gals. Come on, figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
But it's very interesting. Will there still be Super Bowl Sunday 20 years from now?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so.
I'm not sure.
I think so. But it might be a different.
You think there'll be regular football still around?
It'll be a different game, I think. I think the game will be different, but I think it'll still be called football. But I think, it's got to because the health issues. I mean, it's going to get to a point where it's a gladiator sport already. We know that.
It is.
I mean, 100%. I mean, we're on the edge. It's got to be one of the most violent sports there is, besides like boxing or MMA fighting, right? I mean, those are obviously brutal. But, I think it'll still be around. I just think it'll be a little less like combat. It'll be a little more touchy-feely. I just think that's the way we're going. I don't want to see that. I mean, I like the way it is now, but I think it's going that way. You know what you made me do? I'm sitting here listening to you. Now I want to go to the movies. I'm off the rest of the day. I'm going to go see a movie, I think.
There is something out there right now. There's one about these guys pedaling a boat.
Oh, yeah.
Owen team. There is. I think that's the theaters right now. Probably good.
Yeah, maybe I'll go see that. And until next time when we do this all again, go see a movie. Catch up on all the podcasts. We got hundreds of podcasts for you to go and listen to. And until we see you next week, or you listen to us next week, or we talk to you next week, I'm Derek Walker. He is
Jimmy Carter.
Good day.
Good day.